like one of the first things I remember was, Tito fighting in the UFC. This Tito Ortiz, and I always thought, man, I wonder if I could hang with that dude. Of course, at the time I was only like 10 or 11, and I was competing in karate, and I was a wrestler, and I'd got into the Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, so I learned about some, building muscle and, a little bit of nutrition, and I enjoyed that. So with that, the karate and the wrestling, I was like, shit, yeah. Everything I did from that point on, I remember I saw the Smashing Machine with Mark Kerr, and I was like, I want to do that, since that day on, man, it was kind of like, every wrestling practice was to become a better fighter, and that was at a young age, man. And so, no matter what I was doing, I was like, well, if it was an MMA fight, I could beat this guy, Then once I got rid of that idea and started focusing on each individual practice, kickboxing, boxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, I tried to improve at all four of them, and then my conditioning, and learn how the body works, and then, how food helps fuel the body, and, I just tried to I don't think perfection is it, but it's like progress, always progressing, progress, not perfection, and, it's worked for me, because you can't be perfect at everything, you can't be perfect at anything, you know what I mean, but you can, deal with progress and gain progress on a daily basis, and, takes people, some time, but I'm willing to put the work in. So I concluded pretty close to like 4,000 hours right now in my professional career. So a little bit before my professional career. My very first fight was deemed amateur, but I got paid, and it was 3 5-minute rounds. So, and my very first fight I finished in like 2.5 minutes or something like that. It was TKO strikes. So that was my very first fight against Jack Denker in Grand Junction, Colorado. Very first fight. When my hand got raised, I was like, yeah, that's it, man. This is for me. So, and 6 fights later, it was funny, we were sitting there, and a couple of guys from Jeremy Horn's gym were there too. And, the guy that was helping coach me a little bit, and was my corner, was a karate guy turned kickboxer. And he was teaching some kickboxing. I was teaching wrestling, and then learning jiu-jitsu on the side, and coming back and teaching what I learned, maybe just an arm bar and an escape. And we do that all week long, just one practice, and then, we practice that every day, and then write it down, and drill it with, 4 or 5 different people, and learn how to escape, and learn jiu-jitsu, that way. And then, progressively went into a gym that was teaching jiu-jitsu, and, got better, and, 6 fights later, I ended up, a joke was like, hey man, you be fighting Jeremy Horn at the end of the year, you keep it up, and, sure enough, I fought Jeremy Horn at the end of the year, December 1st, 2007, so, 6 months into my career, 4 fights later, 8 months into my career, and 4, 5, 6 fights later, I fought Jeremy Horn, a legend in the sport. I quit my job to fight him. I asked for some time off, and he said, no, I can't give you that day off, you probably just have to leave, and I said, okay, thank you, I appreciate everything you've done, this is what I'm going to do, and, the next 2 years, man, I went through surgery, and I went through, basically no money. I got married, had a kid, and, I just figured out a way to survive in the sport. So that was through sponsorship. So I got my own sponsors, and, tried to get them to pay, per fight, 6-month and 1-year contracts, and got somebody to help me with the contracts, and sometimes that didn't work, and sometimes the sponsors didn't pay, and, I got put through the ringer, man. Now I get paperwork and, progress. So now I'm to the point where I can, not comfortably live for me. My needs are met on a daily basis. So I'm able to travel out here. I got some help getting out here through sponsorship and, and training and trying to improve. So it's great, man. It's fantastic.